That's my favorite NFL player. Whoops, not that guy. Sorry, Von Miller. Nope, not him either. That's Josie Jewell. I'm talking about the guy in the middle. Yep, that one. His name is Joe Jones.
Tipped and intercepted. Jones 45-50, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20. Jones knocked out of bounds inside the 20-yard line.
Down today with an injury, so they have two men back deep. And the punt is blocked. Looked like Joseph Jones blocked it, and Denver will have the ball in great field position.
For 7 years, Joe's carved out a role as a special teamer, but that's not what I love about him. I don't give a shit that you're in the NFL. Like, I genuinely do not care.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like, it's
you made that clear.
See, Joe is certainly a great athlete, but he manages to be excellent at multiple things all at the same time. In this episode, you and I are going to get to hang out with Joe and learn how he's been able to be excellent at multiple things all at once, carving out a role as a special teamer, growing a podcast, building social media platforms, and above all else, being a family man. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. What is up, everybody? Today I have a very special guest, special to me, maybe special to you, we'll see. With me, 8-year NFL vet, 7-year going on 8. Did I get that right? Okay.
Yeah.
The 26th ranked prospect in the state of Illinois in the class of 2012. There's a deep dive. This man has the thickest neck west of the Mississippi.
Gosh.
And then it's the thickest neck east of the Mississippi whenever he's in the east side, I guess. It's just the thickest neck in the world.
That's
I don't know, man.
crazy.
You can see it. What else? What other superlatives I have? You are a Northwestern graduate. A double major, which I did not know until I researched before this.
Yep.
What am I missing? You're the only person in the world that can't catch anything unless they have a cast on their hand. No, true story. This man had butterfingers all through high school. And then the second he breaks his hand and gets a cast, he couldn't miss anything. Say it's not true.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't say it. This is Joseph Jones. Joseph and I, this is going to be fun because Joseph and I went to high school together, so we've known each other for a redacted amount of years. I'm not going to say it out loud, but it's been a while. We're getting kind of old.
I was about to count.
It's weird because we only went to high school together for a semester, but just stayed friends.
It seemed longer than that for sure.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that we only went to school that long together, and I feel like Trev was there for forever.
Yeah, that's kind of how senior year can be, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was there all summer, and then we had football season, which felt like it was like 4 years long, and then peace. So, yeah, but Joe also, just because I got some, I had to. You've done so much stuff.
I haven't done much.
I don't know, man. You got a podcast.
I do have a podcast.
You got 4 kids, so you've done a little something. Which one? Your first kid you had in college, which is crazy to me. And I mean, you got married early on in college. I mean, you were family man Joe right away, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, because you're somebody who I think you branded yourself really well, and like immediately you were like, all right, I'm married. Was it when you got married or when you had a kid where you went to the?
So it was. I didn't even come up with it. It was one of my teammates, Stephen Buckley. He came up with it. But so I got married. I got engaged, and basically he started calling me Married Man Joe. Then got married, and it stuck. And then let all my teammates know. Obviously, then my wife got pregnant with Scarlett, our oldest, and so then he transitioned it from Married Man Joe to Family Man Joe, and it just kind of stuck with me. So shout out to Stephen Buck.
Shout out Stephen. Yeah.
Appreciate you, Buck, for that, because now obviously it's just kind of stuck with me through all these years. And that's honestly, a lot of my teammates call me Family Man Joe. Like all my past teammates, and even like my teammates in the league, they know me as Family Man Joe. It's just, I guess, I branded myself well. Shout out to him, and it's just kind of stuck. And I've tried to live by it, even though I'm not always perfect at it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you dove right into that. It was right away, Family Man Joe on Instagram. Is it still, what is it, Family Man Joe? Help me out.
Family Man _ Joe 43.
Man, you're lucky. Normally we don't plug people till the end. You got it right in the beginning.
Hey,
sponsored by Family Man Joe 43. Okay, so it wasn't for you, that wasn't like obviously it's like a lifestyle, but it wasn't like an intentional, like personal brand, like, curating some like.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. I think, yeah, I mean, you've known me. Obviously high school kid, whatever, but like, I think just the way I was raised and my values from a young age have always been kind of fit that narrative, I guess, of being a family man, of being a guy that, takes care of the people around him, that loves the people around him, doesn't do too much foolishness, but does a little bit of foolishness at the same time, some stupid stuff as a kid.
What kind of stupid stuff you do as a kid?
Yeah, some stupid stuff.
I mean,
probably not as stupid as some others. So definitely not stupid as some others. Some others. I won't name drop any people.
Okay, we don't have to name drop. Let's just focus on the man of the hour. What is one stupid thing you did growing up? Maybe a story that nobody else knows.
Oh, a story that no one else knows.
Except Amber, because she knows everything.
She does know everything.
I can go if you don't, so it's,
You got one? I'm actually curious to the one you got.
No, that's a different podcast. That's not going to go on this one.
Yeah, I think most of mine don't go on this podcast.
Okay.
I think we'll leave that out.
Cool. Okay, great.
I've matured, just like I think we all have matured from that point. So
yeah, I mean, we did a lot of like just stupid like little things. I remember we used to always like ding dong ditch people or like TP houses or like like drawing people's driveways with chalk. But honestly, one thing I always like admired about you even then, and like I was not that mature. So the fact that I even like recognize this, I'm like almost proud of myself. But you were like you always lived the right way. Like you did. You put your family first, and the values that you would speak about, you actually lived them, which I think is really cool. Because especially at that age, I mean, there's so many kids out there that's like, their Instagram bio is like, got a Bible verse in there, and it's like, I love my mom, and it's like,
and then
okay, but like
outside of that,
right. And you really, I mean, your values, you've always lived them.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly a lot of that goes in the beginning, obviously to my parents and the way I was raised. Shout out to them. But I think getting in a serious relationship early for me and taking relationships seriously was a huge factor in that, like throughout college. I think having Amber and respecting the commitment that I had made to her, even though it was just at that point a dating commitment, but being one that didn't want to do anything wrong by her, regardless of what level relationship we were at, was just important to me. And so I think that helped keep me focused in. And then when I'm given opportunities, I like to take advantage of them. And so doing a lot of stupid stuff or a certain degree of stupid stuff can ruin that. And I've seen that ruin stuff for a lot of people, and I wasn't about to let that be me. And so having that aspect, that mentality, and then having Amber, honestly, is what kind of held me down to continue to be the guy that I said I was and wanted to be. And then obviously my faith as well. Man of God, believer in Jesus Christ. And so like for me, that's like the cornerstone of who I am and why I am the way that I am. Even though I'm not perfect, I know for a fact I'm far from it. But that is a lot of the reason as to why I am the way I am today.
You're cool. I thought it was all Amber, to be honest. I thought she was the brains behind the operation.
She's kept me locked down for sure. She's kept me on the straight and narrow when I've wanted to come off plenty of times. So I appreciate her.
Yeah. So you started dating her in high school, which I guess breaks the narrative that she married you for all that NFL money.
Yeah.
That's what I thought she did, but
I had none of it. She paid. Funny thing is, obviously, I didn't know that the NFL wasn't like a dream of mine growing up. I mean, I didn't start playing football until 8th grade. Didn't really understand the whole college scholarship thing until just before you got to Plano. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. My mom was like, yeah, you could do this. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm good enough to do that. Then maybe we'll see what happens. And so then obviously it worked out and went to Northwestern. But she paid for my training, basically my pro day training the transition from me going to college to the NFL. She had a nice little savings that her family had put up for her, and she was working and she paid for my training. I had nothing. I had a couple $1,000s from like scholarship stuff or whatever, stipend and all that stuff, but that was paying rent and stuff like that. She's the one that basically paved the way for me to get my foot in the door in the league. So
it's funny you say that, because I keep checking these notes as if I don't like know you like the
I was
back of my
gonna
hand.
say.
No, but I wanted to like something because you're actually the first guest on this podcast. So to me, this is like a little bit foreign. I'm kind of feeling it out. Yeah, because I've got a co-host that's on a vacation, so you're just like the fill-in guy, and
I'll take it.
yeah. But I was like, all right, I want to find something about him that I don't know, which is kind of hard. I mean, you're a public figure, but you're not Von Miller, you're not Peyton Manning.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. So
near.
I'm searching the internet, and something that I don't know how true it is, but I think it said in college you also had some part-time jobs.
Yeah, I did.
Tell me about that.
So I'm trying to think. So I coached a little bit, strength and conditioning coaching, some baseball coaching.
You didn't even play baseball.
I stopped. Well, you didn't know me playing baseball. I played baseball up until 8th grade. Yeah, so I stopped in 8th grade. But I was coaching kids that were lower than that level.
Yeah, I played t-ball. Does that mean I can go coach it?
Yeah,
Yeah, probably could actually. Yeah, you're right.
But coached a little bit of baseball. Basically, did some umpiring, some refereeing in baseball.
Oof.
Yeah, delivered flowers.
I saw that.
Did deliver flowers, and then I said private lessons. And there was one other thing I did. What else did I do? I did something else. I can't remember what else it was. But was that your
OnlyFans, or was that after the NFL?
Never did that. You will never find me on OnlyFans. No feet finder, none of that stuff. Yeah,
that's weird because I've had a subscription for a while. Is that not? That's not you?
That must be a whole different Joe Jones. I don't know. Must be a different NFL linebacker Joe Jones on there.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I'll have to look into that. Let me make a note of that.
Unless my wife is posting stuff that I don't know about, so maybe I should check with her.
I told you she was the brains behind the operation.
Hey, listen, I'm missing some dollars. Then where's it at? But yeah, I had a couple part-time jobs, and then my wife also worked at Starbucks for a while as well. Yeah. So I got a lot of free coffee studying at that point. It was kind of cool.
Very cool. Okay, so you obviously with Northwestern, you were there for 5 years, if I remember right.
Yep.
It was really not till your 5th year though that you got good playing time on defense. Right, you were a special team guy. I mean, a glue guy. Yeah. You obviously important part of the team, more than I ever did in college, obviously, but. It was that senior year they really broke out on defense. Tell me a little bit about going into that and what was that like?
So the first 3 years, redshirted my first year. Then 2 years after that was primarily special teams, which I'm a guy. If I'm going to do something, if I'm going to be out there doing it, I might as well give my best effort at it and not just be irritated that I'm not the starting guy or the main guy or whatever. So a position that most guys don't want to be in, playing special teams, I just took it on as my identity and fell in love with it, and it has obviously worked out very well for me. But yeah, I didn't start. It was actually my 4th year. Me and Nate Hall, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So me and Nate Hall actually split time my last 2 years at Northwestern, basically starting same linebacker. Had a little rotation going basically every the game we started, but we kind of both played a significant amount those 2 years. And it was fun. It was fun to do that, but I don't know what it was, man. I think maybe it was just because I did it for so long that special teams was really what I love doing. I want to play linebacker. Even to this day in the league, the goal would be to be out there playing, even if it's just a role player type, special down type of guy that comes in for certain package, whatever it is. But I've fallen in love with special teams, man. It's just been my role for so long. It's kind of a play that I know 99% chance that this guy is blocking me, or I know I got this one guy, and it's just a one-on-one matchup the entire time, and who could do better than the other person, who could put the other guy in the dirt and go make a play. And so knowing that, it's just there's a mental battle that goes on throughout the entire game with that, different than it is with playing linebacker. There's so many plays that the offense could run that have to react to, whereas the ball's either getting kicked left, right, or down the middle. Go get it kind of thing. There's only a couple people that can come get me, and for the most part, it's going to be the same guy. Usually there's matchup-based throughout the game. And so once you figure that out, it's just all right, mano a mano, let's see who's a better man on the field, which is always just fun to me. It's always been fun to me doing that. So I love special teams, man. A position that most people don't love or don't want to come into, I embrace it wholeheartedly.
So you transitioned into the league. I remember you bounced around a little bit before sticking around in Denver. And something that I found fascinating, because a lot of our friends will ask me, because they don't have a direct line to the Joseph Jones, obviously. So
God.
they gotta text me as like the middleman, like, how's Joe doing?
Crazy.
Is Joe gonna make it this year? And for like the first 3 years of your NFL career, I'm gonna make the most honest confession right now. They'd ask me, and I'd be like, fuck no. I'm like,
hey, listen,
ain't no fucking way this dude's gonna make it.
But
you know what? He looks good.
As me.
Yeah, I was like, he's gonna have that great Instagram picture. Like those preseason pics are gonna be fire.
Man.
But he ain't making it. And then after year 3, I was like, oh yeah, he's making it for sure. Yep, book it. But what's cool is, and you tell me if I'm wrong. You obviously would know. It seems like these special teams guys, they kind of churn and burn. Like they make it for a year or two, and then if you're not contributing on defense, like you're gone. Like how have you made a career almost playing exclusively special teams for so long?
No, yeah. I mean, you got to think about it too, right? As far as the roster goes, there's total there's like 80 something guys. It's kind of fluctuated with the practice squad numbers at this point, but there's like 53. I want to say 80 something, not 80 something. It's less than 80 guys is what I meant to say. 53 on the roster, and then it's fluctuated. I think at this point it's 16 or 18 guys on the practice squad now.
So for those that are like the casuals, like that roster means like on game day that's the guys wearing the jerseys.
Yes, most of them. So 48 out of the 53 are the guys. So yeah, so it's weird. So the way it works is there's 53 on the roster, so 53 guys getting paid. Like they're on like team money, like roster money, right? There's 53 roster, and there's the practice squad, which gets paid a much significant small amount than the roster guys. But there's 53 guys that play. Only 48 guys dress.
You said it's not significant. How much they make?
Significantly less. Not significant. Significantly less.
That's okay. Say it. How much they make? Don't be shy. What do they make?
I like 14 a week. I think is what it's about. $14,000 a week. Yes, 14,000. So I'm not saying it's insignificant.
Yeah. No, it is. It is.
Significantly less than what a roster guy would make. Significantly less than a Von Miller or a Peyton Manning would make. Or
Joseph Jones.
I've been on both sides of it all. So
let's talk about it. Let's talk about the other side. Is it? I'm just gonna ask you point blank from day one with the Cowboys. That was the first team.
Yeah. Yep. Day one was the Cowboys.
The last team's Tennessee Titans.
Yes.
And pretty much every team in between. As it feels like.
It's been. It'll have been seven. Hold on. 6 teams. Cowboys, teams? Chargers, Seahawks, Broncos, Bucks, Tennessee Titans. So 6.
Okay. And you've been active roster just with the. I've been
Broncos
and Titans.
With just the Broncos and the Titans, yeah. So Cowboys undrafted, got cut after preseason's over. Was at the Chargers on P squad for 2-3 days, I think. So a tight end got hurt, so they had to bring in another practice squad tight end. Took my spot, and I had just gotten this, so bye Joe. Seahawks for 6 weeks.
Stop. Yeah. Nobody cares. This is a business podcast.
Okay. Cool.
I'm just gonna ask the question:
Cool.
How much money have you made from the NFL?
That's actually a great question. I would say in the 8 years, I don't know an actual number on top of my head, but given a pretty good ballpark.
Hey, no worries. I got the internet. You want me to tell you how much you made?
You could tell me if you want. I think it's gonna be it's gonna miss a couple because it probably doesn't have practice squad on there. But I would say somewhere between 5.5 to 7. No, not honestly, probably less than that. Probably closer to 5.5, 6 million with an M. But
okay.
Because
So then help me break that down. And I think part of why this is kind of fun for me is, do you remember? So you and I and Amber and 3 of the girls went out to eat in Tampa.
Yeah. Yep.
That would have been a couple of years now. You were with the Bucks.
That was 3. Yeah, that was about 4 years ago now. 3-4 years ago.
Wow. And I think it was her that said it's weird that how much you make is online and people like there's just like dynamics there.
Yeah, we've had some issues with some close people that have tried to use that. Necessarily not crazily, but like family people that basically looked it up. That was like, why? I'm surprised that they looked it up, but also not surprised at the same time. So I will say no one's ever come begging me for money, which has been nice not to have to deal with. So that's nice.
Do you think in the NFL that's the norm?
Oh, I am definitely on the other side of the thing, the lesser side of things. There's so many guys. I know guys who basically who take care of their families outside of like their family, right? I've been blessed enough to where my parents have done well enough for themselves, and all their kids have earned scholarships to go to college, so no one's got college debt, which has been crazy. All 5 of us, almost at 6.
That's right. You're definitely like the least impressive sibling, aren't you?
I probably am.
Yeah. Because you've had, all your siblings have like gone to really good schools and like do important things, and you just
I just play sports. Yeah, I play sports.
Big sports guy.
Big sports guy. That's it. I don't have to use my brain at all.
So tell me if this number sounds right. The internet says, oh man, of course I open it up, I get hit with an ad. The internet says $4,695,113.
That's probably more accurate, yeah. Because my yearly salary didn't hit $1 million until year 6. Year 6 and year 7 were the 2 years that my salary would have hit $1 million. And only year 6 did I play the entire year. Year 7 I got hurt, so I didn't make that whole amount. Year 5 was like just under $1 million, and then you steadily go down.
So you think that number, back. Right? Because basically you've had league minimum contracts, correct?
Yeah,
almost every time.
Every year has been league minimum. Year? I've had I think the only thing I got a $10,000 signing bonus when I signed as an undrafted free agent, and then I got I think $25,000 signing bonus when I went to the Bucks. I think that's what it was.
It's a bad investment for them.
Yeah. It was a good investment. They just didn't stick with it, so I'll leave it at that.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so I pretty much made league minimum my entire career.
Okay.
And then mix in some weeks with practice squad pay, which is probably the reason why it's lower than what I had anticipated. So.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. So and that league minimum each year increases by a little bit.
Yeah.
Based off.
My rookie year was like 560. Second year it was like 620, third year 750, and then just kind of slowly gradually goes up. And then new CBA started changing some stuff and whatnot. So, but yeah, basically league minimum slowly goes up each year.
CBA, CBD, what was it?
Collective bargaining agreement. So between us and the basically our union and the league. Weed stuff's involved in there, but there's a whole lot more involved than not CBD, CBA.
Oh, okay, got you. Okay, got you. You were in Denver. I don't know what you're into.
Nah.
No.
So
okay,
I'm a tequila guy at most.
Daddy NFL, if you're watching, we're clean.
We're clean. Hey, look, at this point, you gotta. And I'll say this: if you fail a test, and I love all my guys, but if you fail a test, you're not the brightest crayon in the box, because there's a very small window that you have to stay sober, as far as that goes, or clean, whatever word you want to use for that, to stay clean.
Oh, you know when you're getting tested?
You know the window in which you're getting tested. Yes.
How big is the window?
And then once. I don't know because I don't pay attention to it like that because I don't care. But it's not long. It's some period of time during camp.
So they just test everybody like all at once.
They test
basically.
There's like waves in it, but yes, in this short period of time, I'll say a month because I don't know. But in this month window, everyone in the league is getting tested. It may be a little bit longer than that. I'm not sure. But in this month window, everybody gets tested. And that's before the season starts.
Oh, man.
So week 1, so literally once you take that one test, have as much as you want.
Man.
Thank you. You literally show up to work high.
I'm so thankful college wasn't like that because I needed to be on my toes a little bit. I don't know. Like maybe I shouldn't.
There are guys that play high on a weekly basis.
Wow, that's crazy.
And perform like crazy. I'm not going to do that.
Come on. We don't got that many viewers. It's whatever.
Hey, listen, just in case. I'm not going to be that guy. But at this point, it's not against the rules. So it's like, basically, if you, like I said, if you fail the test in that small window,
that's on you.
That's on you, bro. That's really on you, bro. So.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. So you've going back to the finance stuff because obviously this is. I think we're still kind of finding our lane a little bit, but this is a business podcast, we talk a lot about like marketing and sales and building businesses and entrepreneurship. And I think as a NFL player, do you kind of think of yourself as like you're a business as an NFL player? Like, does it ever feel that way?
Yeah, especially in times like this where I'm a free agent and having to, wait around for phone call, reach out to coaches and people that I know, tap into certain connections that I have to hopefully every little bit of communication counts. The squeaky door gets the oil or something like that, squeaky wheel gets the oil kind of thing. Like if I'm just sitting here, like obviously I have an agent that has connections as well and reaches out, but also my personal connections as well help me out. Honestly, I think the reason that I got a job when I got one last year, one they knew me going back to the Titans. One they knew me and I had been there for 2 years prior, but I was constantly talking to the special teams coordinator. I was annoying the crap out of Mike Vrabel.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What does that look like? Like you're texting him, you're calling him, you're FaceTiming him.
Shooting. Yeah. I mean, texting and calling my special teams coordinator. Just check. That's just a regular thing. Me and him got really, really close.
Okay.
And my first year.
So you're not like cold calling him. Like you're like.
No, yeah, like there's more just talking and letting them know. I mean, obviously they know. He's calling me too at times, just talking to me. Like I said, me and him became friends. My head coach though, Mike Vrabel, it was more like, sending him reminders like, hey, the guy that you guys are having a hard time or you guys need some help with special teams, sending him highlights from the season before, like, hey, look, remember the guy that got you 18 tackles on special teams and missed 3 games? That guy, yeah, he's ready to go whenever you are. Really? Sending him, I'm taking videos of me in the gym, bench pressing, whatever, doing something or running, like, hey, like, still fast, still strong. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
That's crazy.
So it just, man, I mean, because what can it hurt? I'm unemployed at the moment. He's gonna tell me no? Okay, well, I'm already still unemployed, so nothing's changed. So the only thing you can do is help. Go ahead.
There's so many good lessons in that. Seriously, like that's not just like it's cool to me that you did that, and I think like I'm thinking about that like, wow, that's got to be awkward or that's got to be like weird. And you said it perfectly. You're like, it is, but who cares? Like worst case scenario, I'm in the same spot.
Exactly.
Right?
Like
that's wild.
At this point I've gotten numbers for coaches for teams that I haven't played for. I have no clue who you are. You've never met me. You know who. And I'm not saying this in a cocky way, but you know who I am based on what I've done on the field. And you being a coach, I've either played against you or whatnot, or you've seen my tape because I've been one of the top guys in special teams. So you know who I am, but I've never had a personal interaction with you. But I got your number from someone else, and I'll hit them like, hey, look, my name is Joe Jones, hope all is well, yada, yada. Whenever you're ready for that veteran presence to come in there and lead as far as being another coach in the field, yada, yada, this is, what I'm saying, you've seen what I can do. I'm ready when you are, kind of thing.
Did you have that same swagger when you broke into the league, or was it like just no?
Nah. I think I'm glad I didn't, because I know guys that do and haven't earned it, haven't worked to get to that point. What you did in college, bro, means nothing. Like it doesn't mean nothing, but it's like
like if you like won the Heisman or something, like
right. I mean, that's different, right? Like if you're the top, you're that first round draft pick guy, like you don't have to do this because they want you, right? But a guy like me who, I didn't start playing linebacker till my last 2 years on defense, and I had some good plays, but it wasn't like I did anything crazy or phenomenal, right? What got me into the league was my athleticism.
Except for that, right? Because your testing was kind of crazy.
Yeah, my testing is what got me in, and then obviously, being fast, being a fast linebacker, be a speed linebacker that can run a 4.4 is pretty good. Not as impressive anymore these days because dudes are flying. Everybody's running a 4.4 or 4.5. Like
but not everybody's running a 4.4 like kind of chubby.
I'm not even chubby. That's great. I'm bigger than what I used to be. Absolutely. I am the heaviest that I've ever been.
Bro.
But still.
You're the heaviest you've ever been? Because 4 years ago, you were the heaviest you'd ever been.
Yeah, it's gone up. So my last 2 seasons, I played at 250, which is the heaviest I've ever been, and still
Bruh.
running.
And what are you? You're like 5'7", right? 5'8".
Yeah. Nah, 6'1". Just at 6'1".
Nope.
What? No?
I did my research. Oh my
gosh. And do they also say 250 or do they say 240?
Oh, I don't know, but I went way back in the archives, and the cool thing about colleges is they have these things called pro days. Do you know what I'm
They
talking about?
do.
Pro day? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and
that's
Northwestern,
it.
the college you went to, they had a pro day. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Do you remember that day? Anything about that? Cool.
It was a great day. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, it was. You tested great. 4.50 40. You had a vertical that was also impressive. It was, it was a lot. I can say
The 40. By the way, this is the one thing I don't like about Northwestern. They, instead of taking the best time, because there's a bunch of scouts that are hand timing, right? So all of them's hand time. So every time that there is hand time, right? There's
Hang
no,
on,
like,
you're not getting out of
official-
this. You pause.
No, hold on.
No.
You go back. No, because you said 4.50. So that triggered me. That triggered me a little bit.
Okay.
Northwestern, obviously Illinois. I'm not Illinois. Sorry. The Chicago Bears is the local team. So what they do is they just take everything from the Bears. Whatever the Bears had, they took. The Bears had one of the slower times on me. There were multiple people that had me 4.45, 4.47, 4.48. Right? There were multiple people who had me sub 4.5. So for me, I don't run a 4.5. I didn't run a 4.5. I ran a 4.4. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. But continue with my height and weight. Go ahead.
I was gonna get there, but I'm glad you. Yeah. Okay. So you almost ran a 4.4. That's my takeaway.
Crazy.
No, I have seen it with my own eyes. You have 4.4 speed. I'm not even gonna fight you on that. Like
I appreciate that.
you were the fastest large human I've ever seen in my life. I've seen a lot of skinny dudes at like 150, run 4.4s.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's impressive. Don't get me wrong. I don't think I've ever
it's
broken
different.
5, but yeah, it's way different. But I don't know why you're laughing. I don't think I have. But no, I have, but barely. I ran that 4.99. Anyways, Northwestern Pro Day, they had you at 5'11 3/4.
There's no way they had me at 5'11.
That's what they had you
There's
at.
no way.
I'm
There's
gonna put
no
it on this
way.
when I edit.
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
need to see
petty
that.
when I edit this. I'm gonna screen record myself going on the internet and like looking
There's
it up.
no
It
way.
says it,
There's
bro.
no
It's on
way.
your Wikipedia page.
There's no way. It's not even on freaking the NFL pages.
Is that the Bears' fault too?
Probably.
Yeah, they just took the average height. They all took their own individual heights, and
I don't know. I have
Bro.
to look at that. I need to see that because that's the first I've heard of that.
it's okay. You're a short king. It's okay.
I mean, oh my gosh, don't do that. Don't do that.
Every guy that says they're 6'1", but now we have
No.
factual evidence. They all say it, but
You know what? Okay.
say
I'm gonna look up some other sites and send them to you, and then you could post those as well.
okay.
From the Titans
Next topic.
and Broncos. See what they say. Get away from Joe's height.
Okay, so you're what? You're 6'3", right? Is that what we landed on?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wish. Psh, Lord have mercy.
Bro, that'd be wild.
A couple extra inches. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
On
Okay,
on
so
height. Yeah.
we're way out of bounds. I don't know how much I'm gonna have to cut out, but so you're playing. Obviously, you've been playing in NFL for a while. Something that I'm fascinated by, because I'd like to just learn from you. Truthfully, is you've got like at least 3 things that I know of that you're doing on a very high level that like most people couldn't do one of. Right? So you play in the NFL. Like, dude, that's I don't even know what percentage of people play professional sports, but it's very low.
Yeah. Oh, professional sports. Yeah, that's a little bit.
But
high.
football in
It's pretty
general
low.
too. Yeah.
Football is like less than 1%.
Yeah, and then the percentage of people that make it after 3 or 4 years, that
Yeah, it just keeps going down and down and
yeah,
down.
yeah. So
So
you're like
I've
a
been
unicorn
blessed.
there.
Yeah.
I would argue though that's, and I'm not like trying
No,
to.
you're good. Go. Yeah.
I
know
would
what you're
argue
trying to say.
that's not even your best skill set. For as good of an athlete as you are a way better husband and parent. You do that on an incredibly high level. I've gotten to like watch that firsthand. That's, I think, for our friendship and for what I've always wanted. Like I'm selective about who's in my life. I don't give a shit that you're in the NFL. Like I genuinely do not care.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like it's
you made that clear.
it's just not like it was really cool. And then it's like, all right, like I'm very happy
Yeah.
for you, but it doesn't
Yeah, yeah.
it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Like except when friends say that I know you, then it's like, all right, yeah, I'm cool too. But anyways, yeah, like no, I'm like the bouncer at the really cool club. I'm not in there, but
Like,
I work for the team. It's whatever.
Yeah,
But no, but you're a really good dad. And then on top of that, now you're taking on where you've built up a podcast where from nothing with you and I think just you and a partner, no other help.
Yep.
Now you're like building up a YouTube channel and doing that. Like most people can't do one of these things. How do you manage to do 3 things at a very high level like that?
One, I appreciate the compliments on the father and the husband thing, which means a lot. Those are obviously Family Man Joe. That's what I pride myself on being and being first.
Shout out Buck.
Shout out Buckley. Man, and honestly, there have been plenty of moments where I've sucked at it completely. There have been times in my life where those have been my least, the things I've been the worst at. There have been definitely some phases in my life where my wife has carried worn the pants more than she should have, kind of thing. Where I didn't carry my weight, I didn't show the things I should have, and she did more. In the last few years, I've kind of picked up my slack and kind of gotten back on my ish. Which shout out to Amber, man. Yeah, crazy. But I don't know, man. When I have this somewhat of a obsessive personality. Like when I find something I like, even if it's just like a little bit, and I just decide this is what I want to do, it's just like, all right, let's go. Like I said before, like with the whole special teams thing, if I decide that I'm going to do something, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all out. Like if I'm not, otherwise, why am I doing it?
The reason that never, like that part of it, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, bro, I'll do anything if you're going to pay me $1 million a year. Like as a 22-year-old kid, like, but you attack things without the money too, which I think is cool.
And that's the thing. And the thing is, it's become a love for me because especially if we're looking at the football aspect, there are tons of guys who won't do that. I've seen so many guys who have much more talent than I have.
Crazy. That
won't buy in. I'm like, bro, and like you said, you're getting paid $1 million to do something, and you're shrugging it off because you think you're better than it. Like, then why are you here? What are you doing here then?
Oh man.
But man, like I've always wanted to be, and I'll go back to the dad and husband thing. Like I always wanted to be a dad. I love kids, absolutely love kids. And I have some great parents. I have some great memories of parents, and I have some bad memories of parents. And there's some that have been motivational for me to be a better dad, be as best of a dad as I can. And I fall short plenty of times. I actually yelled at my kids earlier today, and I need to take a chill pill for a second. But it's like I've seen the influence that a great father can have on a life, and I've seen the influence that an absent father can have on a life. And so like for me, it's like it's constantly in here like, Joe, you have to be there. You have to do the best that you can, even when it sucks, even when it's not easy, because it's not easy. Being a dad is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my entire life. You could line me up against Derrick Henry 100 times, like, yo, which one's harder? And I'm like, parenting these 3 little girls, and now I'm about to be 4. To
be fair, you probably outweigh him right now, so
Actually, we're the same.
Yeah.
we are the same. But okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I get. Yeah. But like, being a dad is the hardest thing, but I think also the challenge of it and seeing how well I can do it and knowing that the impact that I make on these little girls, and we'll see what the 4th one is. At this point, I haven't had it yet, so I don't know if it's a boy or girl, but the impact that I can make on these kids is not just for me, it's not just for them, but it's whoever they interact with down the road. You know what I'm saying? The values that my parents instilled in me has not only affected me, but now has affected my wife's family, my children, and then that can continue to just cycle through. And then on top of that, like, if I'm gonna be, it's going to the husband aspect of it. That is the number one relationship in person in this world that I chose to be so deeply connected with, right? Like I have a great relationship with my parents. I didn't choose that. I had no choice who my parents are. I have no choice who my siblings are. My wife, I had a choice in. That's the biggest choice I've had in who I spend the most time with in my life. And so if I've made this decision to do it, like I said with everything else, then I'm going to do what I can to be the best at it. Even, again, not perfect at it, and I suck sometimes, but like that's kind of the mentality that I have with it. And so then with the podcast, like I'm, again, very obsessive. So like I love anime, as you can see, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more, but like once I decided to do
you want that free promo? Okay.
Hey, I didn't wear the hat. I almost wore the hat. I was like,
you should have, man.
Let me go with the dad one instead. But like once I set out to do something, it's just like I get obsessive about it, and I want to be the best that I possibly can. I get irritated at myself when I don't put in the effort that I know I should be putting in, or I don't get the results that I want, because I'm like, once I start, like I have this vision of how great I want to be at something, and if I don't put the work in to get there, it's not going to happen, you know, kind of thing. So that's just.
I think a lot of founders can relate to that.
But yeah,
I feel like, no, it was fun to listen to. I think a lot of founders can relate to that because we're wired to want to start companies, and I've tried so many different times to explain it, and I'm not going to try even harder here. But the one thing I have noticed in a lot of founders, and I've seen it a ton of myself, is there's just this excitement when you first start building something, and it's like you're obsessive and you can't do anything but think about it. But there's always this valley of despair where it's like, you know, you launch something, it goes great, everything's hitting, and then sales struggle, or you have some HR issues, and you know it's hard to find the right talent. Something usually happens where it's just where you're like this sucks.
Yeah.
How do you keep that obsessiveness or even that enthusiasm through those periods? Because I mean I know with the NFL, right? You had times where you like had a hard time getting signed. Like, how do you keep that obsession then when it's not going well?
Yeah. Two things, I guess. One is remembering the initial dream that I had with whatever it is I'm doing, right? Like, there's a reason I started doing this, whatever that dream is, whether it's in the league, whether it's my kids, my wife, the podcast. Like, there is a reason I started doing what I'm doing. So what was that? And focus on that, because nothing's going to just be a straight incline and going great the time. No, it's not even always going to be, you know, flat and stack, just going like riding the wave, like going good. There, like you said, there are going to be valleys, and not just one, not just two, but a bunch. Unless you got some magic pill that's just everything's working out, which if that's the case, I need it, and I'll take it. But, I think living life enough, and I'm only 30, but I feel like it's been a long time. There are people obviously who have had more experience than me in certain things. But just also understanding, like, things aren't always going to go smoothly or great. Like, you just have to kind of continue to ride the downturn. But the downs make the ups so much better. Like, knowing that I pushed through whatever hard time I had makes me being on the mountaintop, like, the view is so much better from there because I've experienced the bottom of it. And then also, bro, I started it. So how much work did it take for me to start this? Like, how much effort, time, stress, loss of sleep, tears sometimes that I've already gone through right now. Like, I've
I'm gonna bring you back to your e-com days though. What if I made the argument and I said, well, yeah, it's just a sunk cost?
I feel like in life it's different for me.
Tell me more.
I feel like in life experiences it's different for me. Yeah, I actually, which is funny. And for whatever reason, I forgot that term, and thank you for bringing it up, because me and my wife were dealing with something yesterday, and I was trying to explain the whole sunken cost thing. That's already done with. Like, we can't change that. So, like, where are we at now? Like, how do we deal with this now? Because that's over and done with. In life and relationships and experiences, it still exists, but it's different because those losses.
Yeah, choose carefully because I'm going to fight back probably.
Yeah, no. Those sunken costs or those down moments are fuel for me, or motivation, or like moments for me to look back to help me build up again, like I said, the valleys and the mountains, to get myself up to that mountaintop, to where, like, I've already put so much work into it, I'm not about to give up now. Like, I've already lost this. I've already spent this. So if I'm going to give up now, then the loss was for nothing. Like, I shouldn't have started in the first place, kind of thing. And so if I already lost that, well, I might as well keep going, because, I mean, yeah, you can keep going lower depending on where you're at. But if I'm already in a bad spot, like, things can get better. I can get back to where I was before, and I can use whatever that negative experience was to then not repeat that, or to learn from that and to grow from there. Whether that's, again, football, having a bad play, doing something wrong, learning from that moment and going from there. Parenting, I handled my children the wrong way, or me and wifey had I did something wrong and did her dirty or whatever, some type of way, and learning from that. Podcast, I've already learned a lot from that, and not letting the moments where things don't go well stop me from wanting to keep going. Because I think nothing would get done, nothing would get finished or accomplished if we let the negatives, the bad moments, the down times stop us from doing what we set out to do.
That's good. So you said the first one was remember that dream, remember that why of why you started. That
Yeah.
second one was, looking at that sunk cost and say, look, like, I've come this far. Who am I to stop now? I think the reason why that works so well for you is there's a third, like, I think this is like a belief that kind of holds both those up, which is what I'm hearing is you're someone who believes you have control of your own destiny. And you're not going to sit back and like let shit happen to you. You're going to go make it happen. Because I think without that mentality, those two things might not work.
Yeah, I think it's slightly different than that though, because it is that, but it's more like, and I know it's a cliche saying, but control what you can control, right? Like we get told that from however young, like, there are things in the game of football that I can't control what the other 10 dudes on my team do, but I can control what I do, right? And so if I don't put the work in, if I don't continue to do what I'm doing, then there's zero chance, right? The chance of something happening can go down to zero based on that. But if I put the work in, then there's at least a 0.01% chance that it can happen, right? So I'm going to do what I can to control as much of what I can and take that. And then, the other, however much percentage based on the situation is up to chance. Well, then, but at least I did my part in whatever it is I'm setting out to do. Because if I don't do my part, then it's definitely not happening.
Yeah, no doubt. I was just thinking that 0.01. I was like, is that the difference between where he is and being 6 foot tall? Or
maybe.
Yeah. Bro, I love how you said, too, you're talking about the baby, and you're like, I'm going to say it because I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Bullshit.
I'm assuming girl. Assuming girl.
You only have one make and model.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone else around me, well, I guess besides you, is telling me I'm going to have a boy, but I'm pretty set on the fact that it's a girl. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
They can keep that manifest shit to themselves. It's a girl.
I'm hope for a boy, but I'm under the impression I'm just assuming it's a girl. Long story short.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Well, I don't know what the name of the principle is, but there's a principle where if somebody flipped a coin 5 times and it was heads, it's still a 50-50 shot if it's going to be heads or tails, but people start to falsely believe it's going to be heads after that. And that's kind of what I'm doing. Like, I'm sure it's really a 50-50 because I don't think there's any like gene that predisposes you to.
There's like studies that specifically with having kids, there are some studies, at least that I haven't seen them, but people have told me that the more of what you have the first few times, like the more girls you have, it's more likely you're going to continue to have girls.
Bro, you just said there's a study. I haven't seen it, but
I haven't seen it, but there's apparently there are studies. So if you want to look it up, have at it. I don't care to look it up. Whatever I have is what I have. But
okay.
There apparently are studies that show the more whatever you have the first 2 times, whatever the percentage of you having that continues to grow. I don't know.
I do that with my wife a lot. I'll be like, there was this research article I saw. I was like, well, actually, it was a YouTube video. Actually, it was a TikTok.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. People have told me there's a study. There you go.
Shout out to people, I guess.
Shout out to the people.
Shout out to the people. Okay, so speaking of shout outs, the third thing let's talk about you were doing is you've got a podcast. And you just wrapped up season 2 of the Life with Anime.
Yeah.
Life with Anime podcast. All the anime I've watched my entire life has come from just sitting down and watching your YouTube videos. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm like the biggest anime guy. I know one time I sent you a couple just for fun, like, I watched these.
Yeah.
When it was like basically softcore porn. But yes. And you didn't even blink. You're like, oh yeah, like whatever.
I was like, okay, cool. I was just happy to watch the anime. I was like, you know what? I'll let it slide. I haven't even seen that show, but I know all about that show.
Yeah.
So and not for the best reasons.
Okay. What? How do you know about it? What do you mean?
I mean, I have an anime podcast. I have plenty of people who have seen the anime. It's softcore, but there's a story and a premise to it that people do enjoy. So I haven't seen it, like I said, but I know plenty of people that have. My co-host has watched it. Other people around me have watched it, so I know it's about a kid who is a really, really good chef, but to the point that his food is so good that it causes people to experience bliss. So.
Bliss.
Yeah. Bliss.
Is there another word I'm not following?
I mean, true joy, happiness. Yeah, so that's the best I got. If you can come up with another word, have
So
that.
they're just happy?
They're just really, really happy.
I don't see anything erotic about that.
Erotic bliss.
Okay. Thought I was going to get you, but you got me. Okay.
Nah, you weren't.
No.
You
Okay.
weren't.
So tell me a little bit about that. You've been doing that now for, I want to say like 3 years?
2.
2? I guess 2
2
seasons.
years.
That would kind of make sense.
Yeah.
How'd you meet your partner in that?
He was I wish I'll send you the clip of it too. He'll say I slid into his DMs. He made a whole spiel about it. It was kind of crazy. But he was an anime
This is your platform. Did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, technically, yeah.
Then he wasn't being crazy about it. You did it.
Yeah. It was the way he said it though. So, but he was an anime
But was he
content-
right?
Sure.
Okay. Well, then there
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know why you're mad at him.
I slid into Preston's deal because I wouldn't have said it that way. There are other ways to say it. But Preston had he was an anime content creator. A lot of what he did was he played music from. He's a pianist, so he played the music from a lot of the anime songs and different stuff like that. But he also like posted like, this or that type stuff on Instagram. And so I responded to one of his posts one time. I responded to.
This is how I met my wife. So I mean, take that for what it is.
Yeah, there you go. I responded to one of his posts, and then it just kind of anime discussions continued to happen on from there. And there was actually originally 4 of us that was supposed to start this podcast together. There was a group chat. There was 2 other guys, Josh and Vito. Josh is a producer, musician, artist himself that is, I think he's back in the States now, but he's playing overseas for a couple of years. Vito,
right?
No, so he's the artist. So then Vito is the basketball player. Vito
Gotcha.
also was overseas playing basketball. He's bounced around a couple of different teams, but he also playing overseas. So we were supposed to be the 4 of us basically. It was group chat turned podcast, and we recorded one little intro video, and it was called "Shut Up, It's My Turn." And so basically we got to bully each other, and it was fun. It was a good time, but realizing that trying to schedule people who are overseas with people who are not overseas, who have jobs, who have kids, it wasn't about to work out the way that we needed it to. And so eventually me and Preston were like, well, we're still in the States. We are 2 hours apart. He's in Carolinas. He lives in Charlotte. So trying to, at least navigating a 2-hour time difference is better than trying to navigate, people in completely different countries and 12 hours apart. And so we decided to go just to do it. And originally it was supposed to be about music, video games, and anime, but we decided to just narrow it to anime, and just kind of have discussions. We had friends who were like I said, he was an anime content creator before. We had some connections with some other anime content creators that we made friends with and had met. And so we just kind of decided to have fun, talk about anime, talk about something we enjoy on a regular basis, bring sports and life and stuff like that into it. And then, here we are 2 years later. So actually, technically a year. It's really technically history happened 2 months ago. So really,
Man, you keep using this. You dating him. You slid in the DMs. You got an anniversary with the man. I'm gonna tell him that. Okay.
no, I don't. No. Yeah, hey, have at it.
That's funny. That's how I met my wife. She posted a video of herself singing, and I slid in the DMs. And I
Did
said,
you really? I did not know that.
That's how I met her. I met her on Instagram.
Oh man.
Yeah, just like you met Preston.
I love your wife. So your wife is awesome.
I love my wife too. We have that in common.
Hopefully you more than me.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's the one person I chose. I really didn't even choose you. I just kind of transferred in.
No, you didn't. You kind of were. Yeah, I was forced upon you, and
I was
actually,
like,
you were forced upon me more than
that
anything.
is definitely what it was. Yeah, I came into. I thought, hey, we've got this Division I athlete. It's a small school. Like we're just gonna, we're gonna run the table, man. But
Nope.
Our archaic offense had a different plan.
Completely different plan.
Yeah.
Hey, it is what it is at this point.
I guess, man, it still hurts a little bit though.
That's funny. No, I didn't know they went back to it. Yeah, I remember going to a game When Coons was coaching.
Would they honor you for that week?
Nothing. I just showed. I was just there.
Really? You went to a game without getting honored?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I happened to be in town, and Coons was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, yeah, I'll pull up." Absolutely. I was on the sideline, got to hang out. I did actually, because they weren't maining it, but they were still running the wing tee a little bit, and so they ran like 45 belly, and I was like, "Hey, y'all still run 17, 18?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Hey, yo, run 17." Nice little 20-yard run. I was like, "All right, cool. I had my contribution. I'm out."
So that must have been when he like first took over then.
I can't remember how long he had been there, but
I feel like he got rid of it after like a year or two.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know.
But
Or maybe they brought it back a little bit because like his first or second year coaching, I was like an assistant coach for a year, so I took a year off from school.
okay, well then
But
yeah,
we
it was after
weren't.
that.
Yeah, we weren't running it then. So
Pretty sure Will was coaching.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. But
Okay. So podcast. Go back to that. So season 2. You happy with where it's at? Like if you would have seen where you are now 2 years ago, would you be like thrilled? Would you be like, oh, this sucks? Like, what'd you expect?
Yeah, I'd be thrilled. We actually had a meeting, little team meeting, business meeting before this season started, like a couple weeks, like a month or two before the season started, like laid out some goals that we had, and we hit either 9 of 12 or 8 of 11. I can't remember. There was only 3 goals that we didn't hit, and a couple goals we like went way past. Like one of our goals was 2,500 subs on YouTube. We're at 6. We're at 6K, which
Crazy.
blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind.
Has that been steady, or has there been like 1 or 2 videos that have popped off?
There was one video that it just like it. Well, there was one episode and like 3 reels that really like, but the 3 reels were from that episode, and it just like took off. And
what was the episode?
It was with Tracy Allen, so it was technically episode 11. So the second episode of the season, episode 11, was the episode that really helped us take off subscriber wise. It wasn't our best. At one point was our best episode until the second to last episode we just had, which was episode 26, was our best episode as far as viewers wise. Didn't get a ton of subscribers from it. We did get a good amount, but not the same amount that we got from that one.
What are the numbers on that? Like, well, you said a good amount of views, a decent amount of subscribers.
The most that we've had. So subscriber wise, I mean, we went from that video, that first one that I'm talking about with Tracy that blew us up. We went from like 250, 300 subs to like basically 2,500. Like that's what got us to our 2,500 goal. And then it just like, I don't remember exactly when that video stopped getting so much traction, but that one carried us like significantly.
So you went into season 2 with like a couple hundred subs.
Yeah, a couple hundred subs. Yeah. We didn't even have 500. Yeah, we didn't even have 500 going in. And it just went crazy. But our most viewed episode, the one I talked about, episode 26, at this point, the last time I checked, had 11,000 views, which is the most views on a full episode that we'd ever had. And it's one of our longest episodes. I think it was almost 3 hours, which is the longest one you'd ever had until our final one, which we just basically did a recap, which was over 3 hours long, which most of our episodes, yeah, it was just it was long. It was a good episode. It was so hard to edit. I'm used to basically hour and 15 to hour and 45, like maximum editing. I'm like, this is literally double what I normally have to sit here and cipher through. It was a good episode, but it's just the editing process of it was long.
So you do all your own editing?
I do. I do most of it. So it started with Preston doing a lot of it because I had no clue what I was doing. I've always edited the long form videos. At the beginning though, Preston did all of the short form videos. Some life stuff happened. P didn't have a lot of time to do it, so I took over the short form editing, and ended up really liking it, enjoying it. Tedious at times. There's a lot of times where you just like, I got to get content out versus like, oh, this is really, really fun to do. But got really good at it, started learning different stuff. There's not a lot of podcasts that, at least anime podcasts, that do it the way that we do it as far as like virtual using Squadcast or Riverside. And like a lot of them are very the format of them is very Zoom oriented. Like it's just the two people are up there and it just stays like that, or the three people are up there and it just stays like you just see them the entire time. Not a ton of them do it the way I do it, where it's like me, Preston, and the guest, and then just switches to the guest, and then it just switches to all three of us again. Just me, and then just me and P, and then like going back and forth, or throwing up the graphics and the videos that I do throughout the full episode. So I feel like we've had to reinvent the wheel in some ways, and like I don't have a ton of people to take a lot of inspiration from. I do have some people that take like 80 bits and pieces from, but I feel like I've had to like come up with ideas on my own that I've never done this before.
You know what really helps me with that is when I'm looking for ideas, instead of, because it's nice to have that little swipe file of like going after people that are in your space, because it's like it obviously is like 100% applicable and they're doing something very similar. But what I've found is if there's something I'm trying to get good at, go find the people that are the best at it.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll give you an example. Like I recently have been in a kick of trying to become better at copywriting. And when I first started out, I was looking at, okay, like who's writing the kind of copy that I like to read? Like, you know, I don't know, like who's writing copy about business, about founders, about making money online. And I'm going and reading some of that. And I was like, yeah, this is fine, whatever. Like it's just copy. And then I took a step back. I'm like, who are the best copywriters? Like who writes better copy than anybody else?
Yeah.
And one of the things I landed on was comedians. That is like just straight copywriting gold.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not only is it engaging, people are literally paying to listen to their copy, and that's it.
Yeah.
That is that's the product. So I just started listening to comedians like in my downtime, like just kind of like picking up little copy line things, copywriting tips and tricks, picking up one-liners. Yeah. But I think the takeaway from that isn't like that actual hack. It's think about the skill you're trying to get better at. Like maybe it's a podcast, and instead of like hyper focusing on, all right, I got to go find really like killer anime podcasts, go see what the best podcasts in the world are doing.
Yeah.
Or go see what the best, even better, go see what the best like Netflix shows are doing, or the best primetime shows.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's one thing I've done with becoming better at interviewing people. I'm like, I want my guests to feel like so comfortable. I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to feel like I know who they are. Even if we've been me and you friend relationship, or I've only talked to you like 5 times through DMs on Instagram, I want you to feel like Joe knows who I am, or Joe and Preston, Life on the Podcast, knows who I am. And so I think that's mostly what I've done that for. Like I've watched so many other podcasts where I'm like, okay, I need not podcasts, but podcasts that have guests that are about the guests and not just necessarily a topic. Because the topic I know, the topic I can ask, I can come up with whatever questions, and I do some research on different topics and stuff to talk about in the anime space. But like my focus for this season was, how can I make all of my guests feel so comfortable like that there's no reservation about saying anything or sharing anything, because they feel like they're talking to a friend, right?
So how do you do that?
One podcast specifically, I don't know if you want me plugging it, but there's Shannon Sharp's podcast. Like I was like, I feel like he's done well. His team, at least, I don't know if he does it, his team does it. But as far as like researching and knowing things about,
I'll be clear, we don't gatekeep on this podcast. Like there's no gatekeeping here. Yeah.
I feel like him and his team have done a good job. And they're not perfect, but have done a good job as far as like knowing the background, digging deep on the history of their guests, to where like they're like, oh, dang, I didn't know you knew that. Like I've had so many people like, yo, this was the best like interview, like best even intros. Like what unique little interesting things can I say about you in the beginning to make you feel like, oh, okay, like this is gonna be fun. Like even just to get the ball rolling, kind of thing. And so I've taken it from Shannon Sharp. I've had, and I'm blanking on names of some other anime podcasts that I've done it from too. But like basically finding podcasts that do a good job of introing their guests, knowing the background of the guests, and how you word your questions, like how you ask. Like we could ask the same question, but we could ask it totally differently, to where you're gonna give me a different response because the way I said it invoked something different in you. You know what I'm saying? So that was a huge focus for me. 1, updating our look of our podcast, and 2, making sure our guests had a better experience on the podcast. And so just, like you said, like finding even non-anime podcasts, which is fine. Shannon Sharp's the first one that comes to mind, because I know it blew up this year with the whole Cat Williams and a whole bunch of other people. But like that was like, okay, this was a good interview, and I felt like the questions were like on point, and I felt like Shannon knew Cat and his history, whether they were friends or not. But like it made me feel like they knew each other for a long time. How can I make the guests feel that way on our podcast?
So you're intentionally just trying to make sure that guests feel comfortable because you feel like they'll open up more, they'll answer things in a more just genuine way.
More genuine way. They'll feel comfortable, which leads to a better experience on their end and my end. And then if they have, usually a lot of who we interviewed this past season were content creators in the space or cosplayers. And so they obviously are connected to other people that we would want to get on. So if they had a great experience, well, hey, by the way, my such and such friend over here, I think would be great. And I'll let them know, like, yo, this was so fun to be on this podcast. I felt comfortable. I felt welcomed. You're going to have a great time. Perfect. Appreciate you.
That's got to be important too, like as a smaller podcast, because obviously you're getting to a point where now you do have a platform. But like, I think when you're going out and pitching guests before you have a platform, like, okay, well, what's the value add? Like, why would you come on my podcast? Like right now it's like, Joe's just doing me a big favor. But if I didn't know Joe, like, what's my pitch to get him on here?
Exactly.
But if I've had Joe's friend on here, right? I had Von Miller on last week, and this guy was great. Then you should do it too, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and then and part of that, like doing the research on myself. Like I literally will go, again, a lot of them are content creators. I will go to your very first posts ever. So if your first post was 10 years ago, I'm literally sitting on my phone I'm swiping until I get to the bottom. And then I'm watching, I may not watch obviously not watching every single post, but I'll find something from you that you forgot about. Like, oh, dang, I forgot I did that. Yeah, that was, it's like, dang, okay, Joe, cares about what I've done before or who I am type thing. So, that's what's like, you got the inside scoop on me. You do some research, but I know
I was
Joe 15 years ago.
I was like nervous to even do any research because I didn't like want to overthink it, like I literally, I press play and I'm like, and I'm almost like getting in my head. Cause like, it's almost like this. I don't know how to explain it, but like this is almost harder because when we start now it's fine. But like when we start, it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
and like you said, I'm like, I remember correctly, I'm the first guest that you guys have had, right?
Fair. Yeah.
So that's a whole experience, bro. My whole first season, even I had some friends. Justin Simmons is former safety for the Denver Broncos, all pro safety.
Is he still in the league?
He's still in the league. He'll be somewhere here soon, and he'll ball out. Dude is an animal on the field. He's a free agent right now, so he's working out with me. I see him 4 days a week, 5 days a week, working out. But
wherever he goes, you got to text his coach and be like, "You signed this bum? Like, I'm available."
I told him, like, Jay, look, bro, wherever you're going is going to need a special team linebacker. Tell him we're a package deal. But I had him on the podcast. I've talked to Justin. I spent so many hours with Justin in the locker room, outside the locker room, on the field. I'm nervous as heck interviewing Justin.
I couldn't tell. I watched that one. I couldn't tell.
I appreciate it. I think obviously he wasn't the first guest, so I had some experience, but still, like, I want to make sure everyone's comfortable in whatever experience they have here on the podcast. So
yeah, I think being an hour into recording this, and obviously we're probably wrapping up pretty soon, but my takeaway from this side of it is it kind of reminds me of sales calls a little bit, where when you're on a sales call, it's a lot more listening than talking. It's a lot of like, it's when you're on a sales call, you're trying to learn more about the person, but you're also like, you're trying to help them learn more about themselves. And it obviously depends on what you're selling, but in a one call close cycle, it's getting them to make these realizations around like, oh, I actually do have this clear constraint. No, like, okay, this would actually potentially help it. But they've got to come to that realization. The sales guys that jump in a call and they're just like, oh, I have this thing and you need it. And they try to hammer it home.
No, you have to facilitate the transition from them not knowing they need it to realizing, oh, I do need this. Yes. Right. You're not, yeah.
And I think that's probably the skill set in this, where it's like, you go from just asking a question to like just massaging that question in a way where it really gets them going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's good. Any other podcast-related thoughts for me? We're so off the cuff now that I just don't even.
No. One thing that we're struggling to do now that's new for us is dealing with like sponsorships and affiliates, stuff like that.
Ooh.
It's been
we
rough.
get to talk business. All right.
Yeah, this is new for us. This is the first time like trying to do it. And we've gotten rejected a couple of times from some people. I'm like, yo, I would love to work with you guys. And also, you're working with people I know. And also, at this point, not being cocky, but you're working with people with less of a following than us, or less impact on the community, less connections than us. And
so take like a step back really quick, just
Sorry.
so there's context. So
Yeah.
So sponsorships, right? So you're actually reaching out to companies that.
So yeah, at this
Okay.
point, I feel like I've had a couple people reach out to me specifically for different stuff. Like I had, I forgot the name of it, but this bike, like basically not necessarily knockoff Peloton, but Peloton competition, has reached out to me, and the bike seems cool. The bike seems dope, and I'm like, I'd take a free bike.
It's a knockoff Peloton.
I'd take a free bike for sure and post about it, because my wife would love a bike. She likes riding the bikes, and I'd do some bike rides basically in the gym to like get a little extra sweat in the workout. So it would definitely get used. But like most of the stuff that's come to us has been for me on the football side of things, being the athlete side of things. So nothing really has come to us for the podcast side of things, other than people wanting to be guests on the podcast. So some advice that we got from some other content creators, Blake Koala is one. He was a guest on our podcast. Shonen Showdown is a guy who's a big content creator in the anime space, who's been in our podcast like 3 times now. They're like, yo, send the email, send the DM, slide into people's DMs, basically. Like, again, same situation like me, not necessarily cold call, but me texting my coach. Like, you don't have the sponsorship or the affiliate program now, so them telling you no or not responding is going to end up in the same position. The only thing that could change is them saying yes, and now because you reached out, you have something on your plate. So yeah, and so it's like, okay, cool. So I think we've reached out at this point to like 6 different companies, but one, man, whatever. And they do like this monthly care package box.
Wait, hang on.
And
Have they sent you anything valuable or not?
No, they
Okay,
didn't.
so I'm making a mental note. I'm bleeping this shit out. Like that name you just dropped.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna hear it.
They rejected us.
Bro, it could be Netflix. It could be Nike. It could be Under Armour. I don't care. Nobody's gonna know who it was because it just got redacted.
Yeah, but they basically rejected us, and it was cool. It was fine because like, all right, we shot our shot and we got rejected. But it was also like made me really upset because I've seen people who they've worked with, and I'm like, in a not cocky way, but in a confident way, we're better than the people that you've worked with, that you're working with right now. Like,
but they did work with them. So why?
And that's the thing I'm trying to figure out. And so I've asked people before. A lot of the times though, they've reached out to those people. So a lot of people, I even asked them, like, hey, how'd you get with such and such? And like, oh, well, they reached out to us to do something. Like, oh, okay, cool. And I've left it alone. I know the kind of content that they do. None of them have been podcasts like us, but they are in the anime space. And my thing was, basically what they do is it's a care package from some different snacks and stuff like that from Japan. And so like that would be dope to obviously promote on the podcast, and it has a connection to what we do. And I'm sure all of our listeners who listen would be interested in getting that for a cheaper price.
We got a millionaire over here fangirling about some snacks from Japan. Like,
bro, heck yeah.
I'll give you my Amazon login. You can get whatever you want, girly girl. Like, what are we talking about?
But it comes. They're different monthly packages. It comes with a little bit of an experience with it as well. Like, it's not just snacks. Like, there's a little bit of it.
Come to Florida. I'll give you whatever experience you want. What are you talking about? You can ride an alligator in my backyard.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, Joe makes some money, but the podcast hasn't made any money yet. So Joe money and podcast money are two different entities, you know. And my money doesn't affect Preston, so that's the other part. So like, what we do at the pod, obviously, then is separate. A lot of it goes back into the pod primarily, but then would be separated between the two of us. So,
is there? Preston's not here, and his finances are none of my business. But is there? Because you've got something that's obviously working. You've got your full-time job. But is there pressure for something to work, knowing you've got partners that you want it to work for them?
Not necessarily pressure, no, because which is funny because one of the nicknames that he's been given is Pressure P. But P, he's P from my understanding and what I know, and we talked a little bit about it. But he's in a financially stable place. Like it's not like we need the podcast to make a bunch of money to help P along with his day-to-day living expenses. This is just extra. But if we're also putting the time in to doing it outside of our work and stuff like that, especially like with all the editing and stuff, like how much time we put in, and if it makes us money, we can kind of cast some stuff off with some people, delegate some different stuff and pay them to do it as well, to take less time off. Like we can focus on the podcast itself versus like producing the podcast, editing, making sure everything is right, posting all stuff when we need to do all that stuff. So So yeah, there's no like financial pressure for the podcast to make us money, but obviously, it would be helpful and beneficial. So then we take the trips to go to cons and stuff like that. Well, it's not coming out of our pocket. The podcast has made enough money to then pay for our flights and our hotels and whatever else we do to go those places. You know what I'm saying? We do giveaways and stuff like that. We're not buying the Funko Pops and manga to give away to people. The podcast has enough funds in its pocket to then fund whatever adventure, whatever it is that we want to do with the podcast.
So, and you're saying like that's a future thing, or it already is making some money, and you've got like revenue already?
It just started. We've probably made $150 through YouTube at this point. We just got YouTube partnership. We actually maybe a little bit more now because we have started doing some YouTube lives, and we have gotten some super chats on there, which has been cool. So we've gotten a little bit from there, not a ton. We haven't even hit 250, maybe just under 250 at this point. How much money the podcast has made over the year that we've been there, over the 2 seasons that we've been doing it. So everything that's gone into the podcast has been split between me and Preston's pocket at this point.
And is there like a long-term vision for like, hey, this could be something that makes a certain amount of money, or is it like, hey, this is something we just enjoy, and like if we could find a way for it to pay for itself, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think a dream would be, the shoot for the stars kind of thing is like we're on the level of Pat McAfee show type thing. Like it's like really, really big. Like this is one of the most prestigious anime podcasts out there. Everyone watches it. We get flown out to events to do stuff. It's paying us however much money. Preston can stop working and do what he's doing, maybe to the point where, depending on how much that is, I'm not sure exactly what he needs to live. He's got a wife and some family to take care of as well. But
I would highly recommend have those conversations, dude. Now, whenever I get into business partnerships, it's for me, and this isn't for everybody. For me, it's a non-negotiable. Like I literally say, you and we're gonna just get undressed right now and get all the uncomfortable stuff out of the way. Like, what's in your bank account? I'll show you what's in mine. Like, this is what I want. Because if those things aren't aligned, it's going to be a problem at some point. It's just win.
Yeah. So No, that's a great point. I would say we haven't gotten that undressed. But I've definitely
we've definitely seen each other
we've definitely seen each other in following your metaphor example, whatever there. I've definitely seen Preston in his underwear. So we ain't butt naked, but I know a lot of things about P and his money and his family and all that kind of stuff, to where I know a lot more than most people.
I'm probably be editing that into a short.
But yeah, we haven't gotten completely undressed. So
gotcha. Okay. So yeah, man, I think that's a nice little like snippet though, because I hope some of our friends watch this. That might be fun for them. It would be for me. I know I've had a few people, and I'm not naming names right now because it's just not happening.
That's what I wanted you to do. I wanted to hear some names.
But I've got to maybe we'll name them. We'll see. We'll see. But I've had a few friends that have been like, I see Joe's doing this anime thing. What the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
What do you have to say to them?
I'm doing what I enjoy and I love, and I'm having fun. Like, this is my hobby. And it's still work because it takes a lot of my time. The hours I put in, the more I've stayed up till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning so many times editing videos because I do dad stuff. I take care of what needs to be taken care of first. Okay, but I still got to take care of this. So everyone's in bed. Cool. Babe, I love you. Good night. And I'm up doing what I need to do. But I enjoy it. I've had so much fun growing and learning different skills. Like, I can edit a full 3-hour episode of a podcast. I can take a 3-hour podcast and churn out 20 reels from it and make them fun, entertaining, and engaging. Like, stuff that people scroll on to like just entertain themselves for however long. Like, I can make that stuff. I have the ability now to entertain people in a different way than me knocking someone's head off or getting my head knocked off. I've learned it even to the point where people are like, yo, like, you should edit for other people type thing. Like, I've gotten to that point. I'm like, that would be dope. I don't have the time for it. I just don't, because unless something happens to where like I can pass off the editing of mine, but at that point, then why not just edit my own? There's a balance to that, right? Yeah. That would have to be figured out. But it's my hobby that's at this point now made me $250.
Yeah,
that I just
I think
once
the haters hear that, you're good. once the haters hear that you made 250 big old
$250.
bucks.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah.
Anime has been, and not many people know it because it wasn't cool to flaunt it back in middle school and high school. That these people probably know me from, bro. I've been watching anime since I was 6. Like anime has been I've watched more anime than I've ever watched any regular TV show. I've watched more anime. It might be even at this point, but I've probably watched more hours of anime than I spent watching football film. Like that's how long I've been watching anime and how much I watch it, bro. It's been a part of my life since I can remember.
I mean, I know you didn't watch any film in high school, so that makes sense.
I mean, you know, we watched the film that we watched when we were in the meeting for however long, and that was it. You know, college.
We're old enough that like we really didn't even have access to the film, so it's
exactly.
Like it's not even on us.
Yeah, you know, I didn't get what's watching film until
we wouldn't hit that Chinese buffet and then rolled up and
yeah, exactly. You know, so
yeah.
It's been a part of my life more than people have known. They just didn't know it was something that was a part of my life for again since I was 6.
Anime, maybe I don't know if this is like unique to the United States, but you know, I wasn't until I started having teammates in college that were like really into it. And I think a lot of football players are into it, which is interesting.
A lot of athletes, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I had a lot of teammates who were into it, which was like the first time exposed it to me. I didn't particularly get into it. It just, for whatever reason, wasn't my thing. And I just probably haven't found the right one to like kind of break me into it. But what I realized is I think it's like a way bigger market than like I would have ever imagined.
Bro,
like, what do you think?
It's massive. It's so like the time that you probably start seeing more people being into it is a time that the beginning of its popularity. Like COVID, it skyrocketed, but it was slowly growing our last few years in college. Like I went from having teammates who were like, Joe, what are you watching? To like, hey yo, Joe, I just watched something. Like, bro, weren't you 2 weeks ago clowning me for watching this on the plane? Like now you're telling me that you got a favorite show. So it has skyrocketed. But bro, I think the people don't understand that for how much anime there truly is out there. For every genre of regular TV show, comedy, just like sitcoms, romance, actions, you know, fantasy, sci-fi, like for every genre of regular TV show or every other media form that you know, there is that genre for anime. And there's just so much out there. Like there are millions, I don't know the exact number, but there are millions of anime out there that have been made. Like it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So it's huge. People just didn't know about it. People are just now learning about it. So they're just now realizing like this space is massive.
And are they just now learning about it? Like it's just now making its way to the United States, or is that like
because
it's just global, right?
Yeah, it's global. It's been in the United States. Obviously, I've been watching it. There's been sub versions, you know, English versions of shows for again since I was 6. It's just now. I don't know what happened during COVID that everyone's like, I have nothing else to do. Let me sit down and watch anime. But COVID blew anime up, bro, for better and for worse.
I wonder if there were like platforms that picked it up, like maybe Netflix brought on more shows or something. So like
Netflix, that's the thing. Netflix is starting to bring in a lot more anime. Hulu has a lot of anime now. HBO Max has a lot of anime now. Netflix is like trying to take over with it, which is crazy. Disney has anime at this point. Well, Disney Hulu has anime now. So it's I think a lot of other major platforms that we utilize in the U.S. are starting to realize the scope of how many weebs, anime nerds are out there, and realizing there's a lot of money to be had in it. A lot.
Crazy.
So
then, I mean, obviously that's a massive market. Whenever you're done with football being your main thing, do you think your next thing's in anime and podcasting and life with anime, or do you think, you know, is Joe just gonna get some finance job and wear a suit and be boring? What's next for Joe?
Joe cannot sit behind a desk all day wearing a suit. I don't like suits. I wear suits to and away from games, and that's it. Like that's my suit wearing. Man, if this podcast is to the point where it can, you know, throw a couple dollars in my pocket and be something that is, you know, not just me and P sitting behind a computer and talking to each other about it, then yeah, absolutely. That is the dream of the podcast. I think before that happens, coaching's probably going to be a thing. I've had a lot of people tell me that I need a lot of coaches, a lot of other players. They're like, Joe, when are you going to start coaching? Joe, you need to start coaching. I've had head coaches tell me that I need to start coaching. I've had other special teams coordinators tell me I need to start coaching. I have had teammates who I've helped and been that extra coach and feel like, Joe, are you going to coach, kind of thing. And so I think that's probably the next step. And I have to figure out that transition, talk to my agent, talk to some other coaches, and figure out how that works, getting my foot in the door. I know enough people to where I think it wouldn't be hard for me to do so. But I think that's the next transition. So football, I don't think even after I'm done putting on pads is going anywhere for a while.
I'm surprised.
God willing. Yeah, it wasn't my first choice. It wouldn't have been what college, early years in the league, Joe definitely was like, I can't do it. But as I've gotten older and matured and realized like coaching has kind of been part of my role in my last 4 years in the league, and bringing up the younger guys.
Yeah. So my surprise is
bad.
like, I think you'd be a great coach. That's not my surprise.
Okay.
And I think you're a good leader. And I think a lot of great coaches are leaders. Just like in the business world, a lot of great like CEOs are really just good leaders. What surprises me is that I'm surprised you're not like eager to get out of some of the lifestyle of being in the league.
Yeah.
Being away, being in other cities, traveling, being around some stuff that, to be fair, probably doesn't entirely align with your values.
Yeah. No, I see that. I think the thing that even that has kept me continue to be in, like, even these last 2 years fighting to make sure that I can still play, that fighting to even fight for a spot in the league, is that I still have a love for this game. It's a game, but I still have a love for it. I still think I have the ability to perform highly in it, and that's not going to last forever. I know that at some point in time there's going to be an end to that. If I don't transition quickly, not necessarily right away, but quickly from playing to coaching, it's not going to happen. So it's like similar to, and I don't know if I've had this conversation with you before as far as my transition to even after having Scarlett, even continuing to pursue the league. I was about to be done. I was about to put a suit on and find a 9-to-5, a regular job outside of sports. And I gotta support my wife and my kid because I don't like this football thing's probably not gonna happen.
Insurance man Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
Or real estate Joe, like your mom. That would have been a good Joe.
Accountant Joe, Morgan Stanley Joe.
Yeah.
But my wife and my mom was like, look, I don't want you to have missed out on your dream because you didn't pursue it. Like, I don't want, and from my wife's perspective, I don't want me or at the time Scarlett to be the reason that you never pursued your dreams, and then you hold that out against us for however many years that you're still, like, I could have, I should have, I would have done this, right? So at least try it, at least pursue it. If it works, perfect. If it doesn't, well, then it wasn't meant to be, and then we move on.
Yeah.
So similar to that with this coaching thing, I think I have a lot to, and based on what I've even done this minimal amount so far with being that player coach, I have a lot to offer to these young guys that are coming in that who didn't have the experience that I had playing special teams in college. A lot of these guys that are out there playing special teams were the starting linebacker or the second string linebacker that didn't run down the field 20 times on special teams. So they have no clue. They're just raw talent and a ball that needs to figure out how to direct that energy, and they don't know how. And so especially hearing a bunch of people that I respect tell me like, Joe, you'd be good at this. Joe, you should do this. I'm like, okay, well, it wasn't my first guess, but the more I've heard it, the more it's like started to warm up to me like, man, this is something I should do and pursue for the short period of time that I have in this, because once it's gone, it's gone. Like there's no like, dang, let me go back and try this out kind of thing. And so I think I've got a good enough shoulder, like what you said, aligning with my values and stuff. I got a good enough shoulder in my head to where I've done it so far.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know how to navigate myself and treat myself and surround myself with the people similar to me in that aspect to keep me on the straight and narrow, to lean on my wife to keep me on the straight and narrow. I think I got that part figured out. Yeah. Then the part that you mentioned, the being apart from my family even more, though, is the hardest part. That's been the hardest part about this entire journey, these past 7, going on 8 years now, and it'll be still hard then.
Because, I mean, for the people that don't maybe know you as well as I do, they're not coming with you a lot of times, man. Like, a lot of times you're doing these, you're playing a whole season where, like, family's back home in Colorado, and
Yeah.
you're somewhere else. And maybe they come
Yeah.
visit you like a couple times a season, but you're really not seeing them.
Our hardest season was my first year in Tennessee. So I had signed as a free agent to go play the Bucks. We literally picked up everything from our Colorado home, picked up everything, moved everything to Tampa, which
Bro, I remember Amber telling me about how she found lizards in the house, and I was like, welcome to
Bro.
Florida, baby.
it was so and like we didn't have our stuff, like we had picked up and moved. We were there, and like our moving truck didn't get there until a month after we had already moved. Like lease signed, we're in there, so we're bouncing between Airbnbs until our stuff gets there. Maybe 2 weeks after our stuff got there, preseason's pretty much over at this point. 2 weeks after, I get cut, right after preseason's done, and then I go to Nashville. Well, we're stuck in the lease in Tampa. So guess who's staying in Tampa while I'm in Nashville?
With
My
no
wife,
support system.
with knows nobody in Tampa. Not a single soul. The closest people she knows is Trevor, and they're however far away. You know what I'm saying? We just had Rosalie, so a newborn baby. So my wife, in a house she doesn't necessarily like, in a place she knows no one, with 2 toddlers and a newborn baby, and me, however long of a drive away. You know, that was a trying year for our marriage, to say the least. There are still some scars from that, even to this day, that we've worked through, but it's not, it's going to be there for a while. So
Just the stress of that situation.
Stress of that situation, feeling abandoned at that point, like, again, like I said, she just had a baby, and she's by herself raising 3 kids while I'm working. Now, mind you, they did, like you said, they came and visited a good amount of times. Like, if there was back-to-back home games, they would come for that stint. So they'd be there for like a week and a half for that, and then they'd go back every now. But that's a lot. Picking up and driving cross-country, basically, from, I don't know how far of a drive it was, but from Tampa to Nashville and then back is a lot, for one person to do with 3 kids.
Was there ever a point where she was asking, like, hey, Joe, like, can you just be done with this? And, like,
not when the season was going on, no, but she was ready for me to retire. There was a point where we were talking about me being done playing ball
after the season was done.
Honestly, during the season was going on, she was like, I don't know if I could do this again. Like, obviously, I'm not about to ask you to be done mid-season, but like after this is over, like there was a couple times we had, like, there was nothing like that we like for real conversations. Like, okay, so are you really asking me to do this? And she's like, I think I'm just in the middle of it all, and it's really hard for me to see the light in the tunnel. So, like, part of me wants to say yes, like, I want you to be done. But the other part of me is like, we've also had the opposite side of it where we were in the same place for 4 years straight. We were in a home, we're all good. I didn't go anywhere, and we're all there together for 4 years straight. We got comfortable after bouncing around from 4 teams my rookie year in 2 months to now we're in a place for 4 years to now we don't know when Joe's going to job, where Joe's at, what's going on. So, yeah.
I remember, and you guys bought a house there, but you bought that towards like the end of that contract, right?
The house that we're in now. So we bought this 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, you had a house before that, though. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've rented every place that we've been. We rented. This was the first. This house.
But you had a house you were in for a while there. I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
You weren't like bouncing around like in Denver. Like,
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So.
So then how did you like rectify that after the fact? Like, so because obviously that season went by and then you playing again.
I didn't become a free agent. I signed back to Tennessee, so I knew exactly where I was going to be. And so it was.
But the nature of the league, man, you could have been cut.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so after that season is when we bought this house. So that it was, you have a place that you're comfortable for the most part. You have a place that you know. There's a babysitter that loves our kids, and that if you need her, she's right around the corner. That can come. You need a break. There's someone there. You have friends that are here that you can also hang out with and spend time with. And you're in a place that we've been at for 4 years now. So, like, that was what made us buy a house. Like, all right, we need a home base. We need a place to establish that if this happens again, it's not, oh, dang, I'm in a place that I don't know anybody and not comfortable in a house I don't like, to where at least I don't have you, but I have some semblance of security and, like,
community.
Community,
support.
Yeah,
totally.
So.
Okay. So if that same exact situation happened now, you feel like
it's different. Yeah. Like we're preparing for me to have to be out of here at anytime soon. Like I could be headed back to Florida, and depending on how it plays out, she'd stay here for a while, obviously. And so that's usually what happens is once I sign to a team, they wait a little bit. I feel out the situation. Like, am I going to be here for the rest of the season type thing as long as I don't get hurt or whatever? Or, like, am I still on the fence? Once I feel like I have, and I'm not always right because I've been wrong before, but once I have a similar idea, like, hey, I'm going to be here, you guys can come on out, then I'll go from being in a hotel or an Airbnb by myself to, okay, I'll get a bigger spot for all of us to be in. And that way, if something does happen, you're not stuck here. You have a home that you guys can go back to, right? And it was just a long trip that you guys came and hung out with me, and now you guys can go back and I go wherever I go, versus you being stuck in Nashville now that you came to Nashville, but because now I'm back in Jacksonville. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I in my mind, I'm thinking, well, why not? Like when you were in Nashville, for example, it's like, okay, well, why not move them up? Like, okay, you moved to Nashville, why not move them up there? But I mean, at that point, you're already floating one lease. Now you're probably looking at another pretty big lease, and I think for some of that, you were P squad, so like, you would have probably literally been burning money.
So every time that they've come like and stayed with me, it's been a long-term Airbnb to where it was like monthly payments and that. So say I booked it for 5 months, right? If I'm only there for 2 months and I have to leave, I just owe 1 more month payment and then I'm good to go. Versus me having to pay out the entire lease.
Cassie and I did that in my modeling days. That's how we would book a few months in advance, but we knew we could get out of it.
Yeah,
so it's a great way to just like get around and see places.
Exactly.
I'm like too old for that now, probably, but.
So.
Very cool. Well, man, so we got Family Man Joe, we got Anime Man Joe, maybe Coach Man Joe.
Maybe Coach Man Joe.
I thought we were gonna get Rancher Man Joe in Missouri. That's what I thought was gonna happen.
That's down the road. That's down the road. We'll see. That's a 90% chance. So. There's still that 10%.
Maybe there's like a Florida Man Joe in the middle somewhere.
Florida Man Joe would be great. I'm hoping if the people, whoever sees this, Jacksonville Jaguars, y'all have called so many times and circled the wagons, and y'all know. I know how many people over there. Come get your boy, and I'll be in Jacksonville.
They just put Trevor Lawrence on that max contract, so they need some minimum men.
Look, exactly. I'm cheap, and y'all know it. So.
That's funny. Cool, man. I think that's the pod. Where can, if somebody made it this long, if you watched to this point, first of all, thank you, Mom.
Hi, how you doing? Hope you're well. Miss you.
Yeah. She really could be the only one to watch this far. But second of all, if somebody made it this far, you got to go follow Joe everywhere he is. Like that's a gentleman's agreement. We just gave you an hour and change of entertainment. You just got to go follow Joe. That's the only thing. We're not asking for your money. I don't want nothing else except for you to go follow Joe. So Joe, tell him where.
Yeah. Personally, Instagram, this is the main place I'm at FamilyMan_Joe43. That's really where I'm at personally. But podcast wise, man, if you're an anime fan at all, even just a little bit.
No. If you like anime, if you like good edited content, if you like entertainment, if you
enjoyed me,
if you like good looking guys that are slightly under 6 foot.
Oh my gosh. But at Life with Anime Podcast, just literally spelled out like that. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter now, which is crazy. Toxic Space. I don't really go on there much. YouTube is the main one though. It's crazy, bro. It's so crazy. I didn't do it for a while because of how crazy it was. And I'm seeing a bunch of people like, yo, you gotta get on Twitter. Like, all right, I don't manage it. Preston manages it, so he gets to deal with the toxic nonsense. I don't have it in me, bro.
When you say toxic nonsense, I want to know if your feed is the same as mine. What are you talking about? Toxic nonsense.
There's a lot of pictures and videos that Family Man is not.
Okay, yeah, no, we're talking about the same thing then. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know
people are wild and crazy as well.
I didn't know if that was unique. But,
yeah, no, that's just Twitter now. I'm like, that's why I got off. I was like, bro, if you look at my personal Twitter page, if I posted, it's like once every 5 months type thing, because I saw one of my buddies do Super Bowl, so I'm like, yo, so and so's do like, hey, shout out to you, I forgot. Yeah, but I'm not on there.
Yeah,
but the podcast is, and then on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you like to watch and want to see the edits, then go to YouTube, which is where I would prefer everybody go. But if you're just a listener, which is great, then Apple Podcasts, we're on there. Life with Anime Podcasts. We're actually in the top 50. There's a lot. You'd be surprised at how many there are. There are a crap ton of anime podcasts, but we're actually, as of a couple of days ago, just broke the top 50. We're the 41st animation cartoon podcast on all of Apple Podcasts.
So not just anime,
Right.
but like all animations, cartoons.
So like there's a Bluey podcast. Have you heard of the show Bluey?
Yeah. Have
There's
I
a
heard of Bluey?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Come on now.
There's a Bluey podcast that's on there that like is in that same category as us.
Yeah, and they're
so-
42 suckers.
No, they're way above us. But yeah, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube is the main things that you can find us on. Long form, short form, we do it both. So
All right, go follow your boy. I think that's the pod.
appreciate it.